One of the most talked about moments from last night's debate came from newcomer Carly Fiorina.
She took on Donald Trump repeatedly and got a lot of reaction from the crowd with this particular moment.
You know, it's interesting to me. Mr. Trump said that he heard Mr. Bush very clearly and what Mr. Bush said. I think women all over this country heard very clearly what Mr. Trump said.
I think she's got a beautiful face, and I think she's a beautiful woman.
Carly Fiorina joined us earlier on CBSN with her response and her thoughts on her performance last night.
It felt good, honestly, because a woman's appearance shouldn't be the subject of conversation, and it too often is. No one talks about how men look when they're in a job or running for a job, and the women of America understand that.
Do you think he still owes you an apology?
Oh, it would be a long line. I'm not worried about his apology.
How would you characterize your performance last night? On Twitter, one political pundit said that you, quote, emasculated Donald Trump. You agree with that?
You know, last night, going into that debate, almost half of the people watching had never heard my name and didn't know I was running for president. And so for me, this was an opportunity to introduce myself to the American people, to talk to them about who I am and how I would serve them as president of the United States. And so that, to me, was the most important thing, that they get to know me and my ideas and what I would do.
There were some questions about your record as when you were CEO of Hewlett-Packard. Donald Trump was attacking your performance there. Tell us, what could you have done better during your tenure there?
Well, you know, it was a very difficult time. I led through the technology bust, the worst technology recession in 25 years. The NASDAQ dropped 80% and took 15 years to recover. The unemployment rate in the technology industry was at 9%. So this was a tough time, and I'm very proud of the fact that we transformed a company from failing to succeeding, in fact, to the leading technology company in the world. And I say we because it was we, all of the employees of Hewlett-Packard. I think in those very difficult circumstances, honestly, the thing that you most want to do is make decisions in a timely fashion. And some of those decisions are very hard to make. There is nothing harder than saying to someone you no longer have a job. And yet, we had to save 80,000 jobs. Some of our strongest competitors literally disappeared. They went out of business, taking every single job with them.
What about Mr. Trump's criticism last night, and criticism that he's voiced on the campaign trail as well, that part of your business record and the success that you tout in part stems from acquisition? He noted last night, Compaq, and that acquisition is not really being a true measure of success when it comes to your business record.
Well, that's a silly statement, actually. We did many things to contribute to our success, including tripling our rate of innovation to 15 patents a day. Our acquisition was hugely successful, hugely important. It is acknowledged as the most successful merger in high-tech history. So I think that was something that he speaks from ignorance about.
Carly, you talked about the death of your daughter to drug addiction last night. It was a powerful moment.
My husband, Frank, and I buried a child to drug addiction. So we must invest more in the treatment of drugs. I agree with Senator Paul. I agree with states' rights. But we are misleading young people when we tell them that marijuana is just like having a beer. It's not. And the marijuana that kids are smoking today is not the same as the marijuana that Jeb Bush smoked 40 years ago. We do. Sorry, Barbara. But we need to tell young people the truth. Drug addiction is an epidemic, and it is taking too many of our young people. I know this sadly from personal experience.
What would you do differently to tackle and try to tackle the drug problem with our youth today?
Well, first, we have to acknowledge that this is an epidemic in this country. You know, everywhere I go, people come up to me and say to me, I have lost a child, or I have a family member struggling with addiction, when I go into these towns, the mayors, the city council members describe it as an addiction in their communities that touches everyone. So we're not investing enough in treating this disease. What we're trying to do right now isn't working. We need to focus on criminal justice reform as well. We have the highest incarceration rates in the world, and 2/3 of the people in jail today are there for nonviolent, mostly drug-related offenses. That doesn't work. We need to invest in mental illness in general and addiction in particular.
Ms. Fiorina, one quick question. Going into this debate, according to the latest CBS News New York Times poll, you were at 4%. Coming out of this debate now, how much of a bump are you hoping to see?
Well, we'll see. You know, I need to continue to get out there and meet as many voters as I can. Certainly last night was a really important opportunity to do so. I hope that we'll see a bump in the polls, but we're going to keep on going out there. I think what I've learned since I launched my campaign in May is that when people hear me, when people see me, when people come to know me, they tend to support me.
Carly Fiorina, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Have a great day.